Hello, 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 and welcome to Couch Chats with Corey and Courtney.
Hello,
I'm Corey,
I'm Courtney.
and today on the show we have our good friend Dashawn Young. Hello, Dashawn. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
And
Hey.
we have been so excited to talk to you, and over the last year or so, we've been trying to find the reason for it, and then your lovely face made yourself quite popular on the social medias.
Ah, causing a ruckus.
Yeah. And we'll get into part of that ruckus, but my first question is always tell us a little bit about yourself. So where you grew up, where you're from, so our listeners sort of know a little bit about you.
All right, well, yes, so I'm Dashawn, also known as Felicia B. Queen, or that girl over there in the corner at the bar. I grew up here in Lee Summit, Missouri, but I just say Kansas City because I don't know, it's kind of embarrassing sometimes.
I grew up
I'm
in
just
Lee
kidding.
Summit.
I'm just kidding. I love Lee Summit. It's my favorite. Like, it's home.
Which
It's
high
my
school
comfy
did
zone.
you go to?
The original Lee Summit High School.
I went to Lee Summit North, so I don't care.
Oh, well, I was supposed to go there, and then we moved, in middle school. So then I just ended up a Tiger, which
Right.
I felt very fitting for me.
Yeah, I went from a Mustang to a Bronco because I went to Campbell Junior High and then I went over to
Mhm.
Lee Summit North. Yeah,
All the
Yes.
I know. And did you live at Lee Summit your whole life, or did you
Yeah.
transit there? Yeah, cool.
Born and raised.
Are you still there right now? Do you still live in Lee Summit?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do. I still live in Lee Summit, right in downtown Lee Summit. So it's like, historic or something. I don't know.
Right. Well, they have that Dairy Queen that, I'll not to be too topical, but that Dairy Queen used to be where they would have KKK meetings on Monday mornings. And
Oh my God. I did
yeah,
not know that. Guess what? I've worked at that same Dairy Queen like 4 different times in my life so far and knew none of that.
yeah,
That was my first job.
it was like in 2001 or whatever. I remember because I was a camp counselor at Camp Summit, and we were trying to take our kids there, walk over from there to walk over to the Dairy Queen and get a snack, and the police literally stopped us because they were sitting on the other side of the street taking the license plates of all of the KKK members that were having a
Like
meeting.
in your lifetime that happened? That's not like historic. That's like you were trying to go there and there was a KKK meeting?
2001. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I did, yeah, that I don't know if I can consider that like my time. I was in kindergarten. So
How old are you?
25.
Oh,
Yeah,
baby.
baby. Well, when did you sort of discover that you were going to have an alternate personality of Felicia? When did Felicia sort of enter your world?
I mean, I knew I liked the art of drag, probably, I don't know, I love dressing up my entire life, but the art of drag, I didn't really come into contact with until my freshman year of college at the University of Central Missouri on a beautiful Halloween night where I dressed up as Angel from Rent.
Mhm.
And then it just kind of took off. Me and my best friend, the next 3 years we were Halloween queens.
Mhm.
And then fast forward to the year I decided to drop out of college. I did Priscilla Queen of the Desert at the Unicorn and played Felicia. And so then after that, I was like, I think I like this. I think I'm just gonna take that and run with it, and then now we're here today.
I love that. Courtney and I were talking. I think the first time that you were at the Arts Asylum was perhaps during West Side Story with Spinning Tree. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And that was 6 years. How long ago was that? I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, that would have
January's
been
been at least 20 years. Who knows?
Yeah. I think that was during my freshman year of college for me, so 2013.
13
I think.
probably. Yeah. 13
Yeah.
or 14 maybe. Yeah.
That is crazy. Yeah, I remember you and Priscilla. I think that is so funny because it's the only version of the show I've ever seen. You know, I've never seen another version of Priscilla.
Yeah.
And so that cast and that show is what I picture whenever I think of the show. It's just so funny.
I want to play that role again. Like, that role is like, I don't know, a dream role. I would do it every day if I could.
Mm-hmm. I think that you should get your butt back up there and do it. You know, that's so funny. So so you said you went to CMSU or whatever it is called now. Did you study musical theater there?
I did. I almost got my BFA.
And what made you stop? Were you just like, I think school was good, or did you have an opportunity that arose for you?
Kind of both. I mean, like, mainly it was just really expensive, and I don't know if I was focused enough to like still be paying for it. So I was like, a smarter choice right now would just be to not. And then out of that arose a bunch of opportunities that in theater. And so I was like, you know, I think this is a good trade-off. Like, I'm going, like, taking myself out of something that I'm not focusing on to basically just focus on it harder than I was. And so at the end of the day, I think it was the right choice.
Yeah, I dig that. Yeah, so following that, you sort of like jumped into musical theater, and then we've sort of seen you pop up around sometimes. Has Felicia ever had the opportunity to have her big break yet? You know, either. Have you been out twirling it at all of the bars and showing the world who you are, or is that still maybe on its way?
I mean, I work at Missy B's. I've performed at the Hamburger Mary's. I did an open Sasha Blake show at the Sidekicks. I performed at Pride last year. So, I mean, I've been all over the place. St. Joseph with Bianca Bliss. I love her.
Love Bianca Bliss. Love her.
Right. Such a gem. So I've been all over, and I'm excited to go more places.
We talk a lot about the show. I don't know if you've sort of followed the sort of purpose of Couch Chats, but the idea of it is wonderful people like yourself. We usually see you up on stage or as Felicia, but rarely do we have the opportunity to get to know you. And so that is where what Courtney and I have just loved so much about doing this. And I believe this may be our 100th episode.
It is officially our 100th.
Our 100th episode. Right.
Congratulations.
There. And so we've really just gotten to know so many of you through just the candidness of getting to share 30, 45 minutes with you, you know, shooting the shit, if you will.
Yes.
So we are so excited to have you as our 100th official episode guest.
Yeah.
I feel so honored.
I feel honored. We're so glad to have you here. So let's dig into some of the bullshit that's been going on around us. We wanted to first ask about, you know, because we like to do a little bit of a positive spin. You were the head organizer for the Black Lives Matter Pride protest day, correct?
Yes, I was.
And so can you tell our listeners / watchers just a little bit about like what that process was for you to organize that and how you sort of found your voice during that time?
Yeah, well, so it started with me just going to these protests. I've been to protests before in the past, but nothing like what this set, like the past few weeks have been. I'd never gone to one where, you know, like people were getting pepper sprayed and tear gassed, and so like that put me in like in a space where I was like, something needs to be done. I support, you know, whichever direction a protest goes in. Personally, I'm a peaceful protest kind of person. And so I wanted to make that a thing. And then also just with the amount of like tragedy we have in our Black trans community right now, it was important for me to just be like, look, we have to do something to bring all of this together, make it peaceful, make it beautiful for the people that we keep losing. And that's when the idea of just like Black Lives Matter has Pride became a thing. And really like the not so like fancy part of it was literally just me making a Facebook event page and hitting go on that.
Right.
But
you filled a niche, which was something that we sort of talked about, that particular organization of that day hadn't happened. So that is probably why it was so easy for you to organize that, is because we needed a focus for that second Saturday, because the first weekend, I don't know if you were down there. Me and my husband were down there on that Friday, that Saturday, that Sunday, that Monday, that Tuesday, every night in that first thing. And going from Friday night, when we were just sort of like marching in the streets a little bit, to Saturday being tear gassed in the front line, to Sunday breaking curfew, like that section of it was so fantastical. I couldn't believe that like we were a part of that. Like literally Courtney is picking up my husband and me on the side of the road on, running away from like rubber bullets and pepper spray on that Sunday.
Yeah.
So where now if you go down there, there's these lovely like readings that are happening, and there's these kumbaya moments. And I really think that it took those first 3 or 4 days to get to the place that we are now. And I'm really sort of glad that both sides started listening to each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
because I mean, I was down there on like this. Wasn't there the first night. I forget what I was doing, or I was hosting an event. But then the Saturday and Sunday, I was down there with Jake Walker, my little protest partner. Love him. And we were there, and we were getting like the tear gas and stuff, like that whole thing. But it was really, for me, it was important to be there with like, the jugs of milk and stuff to help people that were like hit pretty hard, or like much more hard than we were. Just to be there to help and like be a presence. And
we talked about that a lot too, that the warriors did not necessarily have to be the ones like on the front line. There were also the people that were running around and giving milk or food or medical advice, or just telling people, hey, come over here and take a break, and let someone else kind of take on that front line. And during that, we also had some Kansas City drama because, maybe some local organizations and restaurants and bars did not feel the need to speak up maybe as loud as we thought they should have been. And so for about a week there, you were definitely, between you and Jake and some other people, you were on the front lines of holding people accountable during that. And so I wanted to sort of ask you like what that felt like to sort of take on that charge all of a sudden of being the voice of a section of this Black Lives Matter in Kansas City, and what that was like. Yeah.
Well, I mean, initially it's like kind of scary because, like these are places that like I work at, or like, are supposed to be able to go for my safe places, and calling them out, could result in like, you might not work there again. But at the end of the day, like, I know it, I knew what I'm like, know what, like, words are hard. Like kind of understand like what I'm walking into, but I'm doing it for more people than just me.
Right.
And so I mean, but like at the end of the day, like I think it was successful. We got to see some true colors of some other places, and personally had my like embedded like feelings about it, and then to see like, oh girl, you're not the only one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, so. we were just so like shocked, I mean, as I think we all were about that particular bar, and how easy it could have been to just be in control of that narrative, and how it went off the radar, and because of that, and I think because of, I don't care about saying it, Bistro 303 or whatever, like, I think that opened up the door that I think a lot of us started to really pay attention to what other places were doing and how they were handling something as simple as just, saying that Black Lives Mattered. I mean, and I don't want to like water that sentence down, but it's not that hard to say that. And what we found out is a lot of places couldn't even say those words. And so you just sort of showed that, speaking like to you, and you're worried about maybe not getting to work at those places. Imagine like being a person of color and knowing that those places aren't on the front lines standing up for you. Like that just woke a lot of people up to to this, you know. And so Courtney and I have talked a lot about why this one mattered so much more, you know. And so I wanted to ask your opinion on that. Why do you think that George Floyd was such a catapult to this revolution, to where sadly the others before had not been, you know, had that same momentum? Do you have any insight on that?
Yeah. I mean, in my, like, from where I'm sitting, it seems like
where you're sitting, yeah.
From like where I'm sitting, it seems like in the past, like, you know, people were just as angry. Like, they wanted answers just as much as they did this time. It's the fact that, like, where I think we can thank the coronavirus for us being at home, being forced to basically, like, sit down, think, watch what's happening. And it gave us nothing but time to get out there and express how angry we were, and just scream for the change that we want. And I think without the virus and this lockdown and having so many people, like, at homes, I think that kind of helped build the height at which we got this to be at. And I think that's...
Yeah. And we talked a lot about that too, you know, just what, for a lack of a better term, the free time that we had to really delve into this, and almost like thank you to COVID in some way that we were were all able to focus our efforts on this, you know, so much.
Well, and that the virus itself also really opened up a lot of the inequity across the country of who's being targeted by the virus, who's not able to get assistance because of the virus. And so it was, you know, people were already angry at being locked down, especially if you were in circumstances or situations where that lockdown was not, oh, I can just work from home. And it's, you know, I mean, like that, those kinds of inequities, I think, were brought to a much more real surface when you're dealing with, you know, why do we live in a country where if you're not in school, you don't eat? You know, I mean, that's a really, that there was a magnifying glass already on a lot of parts of the country. And then we had, the day started off with what's her name in Central Park that I can't even with her, and then ended with George Floyd. Like, that was all in one day. I think that's the other thing that people don't really realize, because, you know, what the hell do days mean anymore when you're in, because I think we're on our 100th episode and our 100th day of lockdown, or at least I am, that everything just kind of blends together, and you're like, this has all just been terrible for like 3 months. And when you're in that mind space, it's easier to feel the motivation of, you know, I have to get out and do things, and we're not as desensitized. All of the killings and the murder at the hand of police have been mortifying and terrible to deal with, but this one was so much more violent because it wasn't gun violence, that I feel like there were a lot of people who were like, oh shit, now I see what you've been talking about all, you know. I mean, I think we have a lot more allies on our side than previously, because we live in a country where gun violence is an everyday occurrence, and that's, as terrible as it is and has always been terrible, it's very difficult to see past the physicality of what happened to George Floyd. I think, you know, I mean, that I think there are a lot of people who quote unquote came to our side and realized that this violence is real when you have to see it in your face like that, where it's so much more, you know, human hands and bodies really conflicting. And, you know, it's a strange place to be in the middle of a global pandemic, but both are equally massive public health crises that, you know, need to be addressed. So thank you for your work.
Thank you for your work. I mean, and that's kind of, you know, we've heard a lot of conversations about, and this is going to be a fucked up sentence, and it's another reason why I wanted to bring it up to you, Dashawn, you know, is like, when do people sort of get to return to it not being 100% Black Lives Matters every day, you know, because some people feel as if they are restricted now on how they can use their social media or how they can use their voice, that in some ways, if you're not using it 100% for the Black Lives Matter, are you using it against it in some way? And I know that you don't speak for the entire population, but do you have an opinion or a thought about sort of what the psychological and social shift that has happened to where we all are trying to figure out how to not be, to both be activists and not be insensitive in the same breath sometimes. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Yeah, I know. It's a weird fucked up sentence. Yeah, I know that.
I don't know. I guess maybe I like kind of struggle with this question just because like most of the stuff that I've been seeing on social media, with the exception of like, you know, some of the All Lives Matter people, I think it really I've mostly seen people that are just like in full support. I've not seen that many insensitive like, or people like struggling with that on my pages, so I don't know.
I sort of meant to talk about how like where we sort of laid a blanket statement that if, you know, we were looking for all of these organizations and theaters and places to come out in support of Black Lives Matter, and they all made these promises to say, hey, we are dedicating our programming to this, we are dedicating our voice to this, and then kind of 2 weeks later, people started like almost forgetting about, you know, that what was happening because the protest had calmed down a little bit and we weren't talking about it. And I feel like there were just some people talking about how they can't do anything but Black Lives Matter post, because then it somehow seems like we're taking away the focus of what we're doing. And maybe you don't feel that way, or maybe I'm not phrasing it right, but it's interesting.
I don't, because I mean, personally, I'm one of those people, I post like about different things too, and so I mean, like when it comes down to like businesses and stuff, like I don't think it's fair to expect them to only post about Black Lives Matter, because I mean it's a business, so like put that there too. But I mean, I don't think it's impossible for someone on a business side to feel that they need to go completely like radio silent on the situation. So maybe just like letting, like, it would be nice to see people like continue to share their opinions about it, even if it's not every day, just like, you know, let it be known that it's still there.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I don't know, that's a tricky one.
It is, and there have just been, I've heard those conversations just sort of around by saying like, obviously I'm 100% in, but I just want to make sure that I'm not somehow slipping back into complacency without really thinking about it.
Well, yeah, in that case, I mean, that's gonna, in time, that's just gonna show itself, and where, you know, the people watching are gonna continue watching. So I guess my advice to these places is don't, be active, keep the energy that you had.
Right. I love that. So Ms. Perry, how have you been dealing with these sort of conversations with a household of children, you know, of different sort of ages, while you also sort of have one kid who is very active in the Sisters, you know, Perpetual Indulgence, and sort of out there preaching her own version of love? And so what are some of those conversations that you've been having at home?
You know, it's a fine line of, obviously, one, I don't think that the recorded violence that we have to see on a daily basis is not something that I wish to either desensitize them to or desensitize myself to. So obviously they're not seeing the same things that we are seeing. Right. My oldest, who will be a freshman in college in a matter of months at this point, was with us during the protest. She was there on Sunday of the first week. We chose to leave the little ones at home because of what we saw over Friday and Saturday, thinking, you know, I can trust that the 18-year-old will be able to handle herself and knows how to navigate running and, you know, whatever she may need to do, but the little ones can't. And so that was hard for Isabel, because she is so specifically, she's like, I've done protests. What do you mean I can't go to this one? And I'm like, well, yeah, but there are different facets to what's going on. Now it's not the same. It's not the same as walking in a pride parade. It's not the same as, you know, putting on a face and a fancy dress and, and that kind of stuff. Right. And, she doesn't get it. The little one really doesn't get it. She's only 5. And while she understands sort of what's going on, she's still kind of got COVID brain, so that I don't know if we are not in a position to get her another level of fear, just because her anxiety is not well managed at this point with the virus. But Isabel is very aware of what's happening. She's aware that it's happening in the month of June, which is when she is generally more active with her own forms of protest and love. We have done a couple Pride events where we actually went and did like a 5-year-old's birthday. So she handles all of the drag queen story time. So we had one of our littlest fans contact us for a birthday party, and she did that. And she's so surrounded by so much diversity all the time that I don't know. She doesn't understand why everything can't be met with love, because that's her only defense. And she doesn't comprehend that part of it. So we did the CNN Sesame Street town hall, and we've done, there's some cartoons and things that make it a little bit more attainable movement, but she still kind of is concerned when things aren't. Why doesn't everybody love everybody?
Right.
So we kind of haven't moved past that portion because it just doesn't compute in her brain.
Right.
So it's, it is what it is. She sort of, I want for everybody to be able to have that pure heart, but I know that that's not real. That's, I don't want to live in a dream world where that's something that's attainable, because while I think it's a lovely goal, it's not real for us right now. So, it is what it is.
Well,
yeah.
And she'll keep up her work in sistering and do, what she can do, and love who she can love. And hopefully her generation won't have to do what the current generations are having to do.
Right. Well, thank you for fighting the fight. You know what I mean? Like you're a part of it too, and Dashawn, you're a part of it. We're all a part of it. We're all in this together. Yeah. It's crazy. Now we get to do the question and answer portion of it, which is really dorky questions. Get ready. Like, oh, praise.
Okay.
My first question is, what is your definition of real magic?
Dropping things.
What is your definition of real magic?
Oh my gosh. Love.
Love.
I don't know. Is this like is this like a fast-paced thing, or?
No, it doesn't have to. It's not rapid answer.
You can be luxurious on it. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, love is good. I believe love is real magic as well, for sure. Miss Perry?
Yeah.
All right, you are a new addition to the crayon box. What color are you and why?
Oh. I feel like I'd be one of those like special edition crowns where it's like split into 2 different colored waxes. So I'm probably gonna say like a Tiffany blue and a nice periwinkle one where I don't know.
What do you think your superhero power is?
Ooh. To be extra loud, probably.
That's awesome. I love that. To be super loud. That is like such a fun
something.
answer. That's like my superpower is being like the voice. Like it's literally what you just said. Like that's so good.
Yeah.
That's
Miss
right.
Perry?
All right. Okay. What problem or situation did TV or movies make you think would be a much bigger deal in real life than it is?
To get that Kim Kardashian body that I always thought I would get or achieve and never did.
That is so awesome. I love
or that, or I thought, maybe one day I would receive my Hogwarts acceptance letter, and that also never came. So, I mean, like, there's a lot of letdowns that TVs and movies came to.
As long as J.K. Rowling keeps her mouth shut right now, but I mean, Lord.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
now I would have to resend my letter.
Up. Yeah, it's crazy. What is something you were told you could never do or do well that you have done or are in the process of accomplishing?
Ooh. I don't know. I've grown up with such a supportive family that I've always been told I can do whatever I want to achieve. And, I think I've been lucky enough to achieve the things that I've set out to, except for college. I got mostly through that. But I don't know, like, I think I'm achieving great things with my drag. I achieved some great things with theater. So, yeah.
I love that. All right, Miss Perry, your last question.
Oh, my last question. All right. You are invisible for 24 hours. What do you do with your time?
Ooh. Probably go, like, hang out at the, like, the pound and pet with all, like, the dogs and stuff. I would go get some free ice cream. Probably do some shopping.
Sure.
Did you hear that, boys and girls? This is the perfect date for Dashawn. Go and get dogs, get some ice cream, do shopping. Right. That's funny. So my last two questions are, is there anything that you have not had the opportunity to say? Any words of advice? Anything that you would like to promote if we weren't in a fucking COVID? Like, is there anything that you would like to say to our watchers and listeners that you have not had an opportunity to say?
I mean, the thing that I would like to say to everyone is, it's a little tag I just came up. I didn't come up with this, but I'm gonna say I did. Just keep on dancing. Life's gonna suck. Life's gonna do some weird things. Gonna do some great things, and just keep on dancing. Things that I want to promote are literally everybody's live streams: Daisy's, Molten Decadence, Justin Van Pelt.
Hold on that promotion. You literally got molested on camera like 3 days ago. That was crazy.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that might be for the next time we have you on the show to talk about that one. Holy shit. But yes, Justin and Katie and Spencer and all of those people, they're all doing great work out there. Molten's little show is so fun to watch from time to time. There's some great programming happening.
Yes, there is. And then also for RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars 5, you can find me at Woody's hosting the watch parties. And there's that.
Awesome.
Come to Woody's and do that. And then my last question is always, who would you like to hear from on the couch? Who's someone that would make you tune in to hear them talk for 40 minutes?
I'm gonna have to say Damron.
Yeah.
I want to hear Damron. I could listen to that man talk for days and days and days. Yes.
And he has his 15th cabaret out tomorrow night on Facebook Live, I believe. So
yes.
for Black Rep. So yeah, absolutely. Also go support that while we're talking about all the streaming things that people are doing.
That's awesome. Well, let's take a second and take our selfie really quick.
Oh goodness, I haven't done this in so long. Okay.
Whatever. Screenshot.
All right, perfect. All you queens making us look crazy.
On the show, Dashawn. That was so lovely to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we are all rooting for you, and we love you, and keep fighting the good fight, and also remember to take care of yourself because you're
my Felicia shirt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, Queen.
They should be coming out soon. I think the campaign for that was over I think today or yesterday. So
yeah,
they should be coming soon.
2 shirts during that time. One with your picture on it, and one with Katie Gilchrist on it.
So you can throw all the rest of your T-shirts away. You're good.
Well, I was glad that yours is pink. Because I need a pink one. So
you're welcome.
Perfect.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Dashawn, and tune in next week when we will have someone else amazing to talk to for a minute.
Absolutely.
Yay.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.